Hi, I'm Suzanne Kalajai, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about paper, and if you're doing or want to do, the Deciphering Secrets, Medieval Manuscripts. That's a Coursera.org course that you can take. One of the pens that I use, I know I'm talking about paper, one of the pens that I've been using most is a fountain pen. The problem with fountain pen, it's not waterproof. And if I go to all the trouble and work of doing all the writing with a fountain pen and it's not waterproof, I'm going to have a problem. So of course I've experimented with other pens as well. But right now I want to talk about paper again. This particular item that I'm going to hold up, let's see, I have to figure out which way is which. There is really 4 different pieces of paper. And I've written a few things on here. This is an experiment. I want to see what happens. And I wrote everything using fountain pen here. I'm taking this into an art supply store later this week to find out if they have ordered a specific product for me to see if they can make the fountain pen ink permanent, or at least resist water. And this was to see how it reacts, because the product is a spray, and if it makes the fountain pen ink run all over the place, I'm not going to be happy. So on this piece of paper that is the experiment, I've got different things. I have the paper from the artist sketch block. I have some of the card paper. I have some printer paper. And one of the things, going back to the printer paper and the idea that I had mentioned in another video, I've shown this. Let me bring it close to the camera. There. This was the Unxio script. And when I did this, which was just about a week ago, I noticed that on the back side, it comes through. That was with a calligraphy pen. This paper is paper that I had originally used the coffee dye on, printer paper that I'd used the coffee dye on. I used another calligraphy pen, and the back side, the writing that comes through. This is something that I just wrote with my fountain pen to find out if it's going to bleed through the printer paper as well, and it bleeds through the printer paper also. And before giving up on printer paper, there is it, I decided to take some undyed printer paper, just plain printer paper, no coffee stain. And I tested 3 different pens. I need to know if this bleeds through. Does this? What about this? So this is with my fountain pen, and these are 2 different calligraphy pens. Does it bleed through? No, it doesn't. So if you are doing the coffee stain with printer paper, be aware, chances are your ink is going to bleed through. So what are you going to do? Artist paper, the artist notepad, no, it's not going to bleed through. At least I don't think it will. I haven't tried it yet. on the coffee stained paper, but it's thick enough, I think, so that it won't bleed through, which is exciting and nice to know that. But I want to know if my test subject, one squirt, will show me pretty much if I'm going to have problems or not. Back to my card and the lining that I've done. Here we go. This, that way, was done with the 1/2 centimeter paper lining, and this one is done with 1 centimeter lining. And it's a little bit bigger, but I know now that this 1 centimeter paper that I've got so much of is going to bleed through unless I write with pencil. And I wanted to show this. Hopefully, yes, the color contrast is clear. This is the card. And the yellow side is to be the hair side of the manuscript, and the white side is to be the flesh side. So each one would open colored to light. So this would all go together this way, and the colored side would open to white. The white would then open to another colored side. And I did all of this work in the 1/2 centimeter. I put in places for artwork and places for text and places for I don't know what. Because at this point I was getting to begin to think, when I was doing this in early January 2017, I was beginning to think, what am I doing? And as I've said in other videos, that's the decision you really need to make well in advance. What are you doing? What paper are you using? Are you going to have it big spaced, small spaced? What's going to fit you? It's not really a bad idea to have that lining. I did the lining in red here. It's not a bad idea to have that lining, because you can find manuscripts that have got that kind of lining underneath the pictures. Do you want that under your pictures? That's your decision. That's something you need to think about when you're planning your whole manuscript. Something I have come up with as I keep going into the various art supply stores and other things looking, I found some paper. You really can't tell that this is not white unless I put something white up there beside it. This particular package had 6 pieces of what they call parchment. They don't mean parchment because it's parchment paper. It's for the printer. It's a bit thicker than your average printer paper. There were only 6 sheets in it, and I have begun with making a plan for the page layout. This would be for 2 pages. And then I decided I was going to, I also did this one with 1 centimeter spacing, holes down the side. And then I decided, no, I was going to think instead of the 0.7. So I took one of my square sheets and I attached it over top of that, and I literally drew the lines around, and that gives me the spacing exactly. Most rulers today, whether in inches or centimeters, will have both. So I bought this here in Finland, easy to use, with centimeters on one side, the inches on the other. Whether you are familiar with the metric system or not, this is very useful when you're thinking in terms of your spacing. So your 7 would put you right there. And since this is the size or the line spacing that I'm comfortable with, I decided to use that particular spacing. The pages that are here, I haven't done anything with yet. And what I want to share at this point, I think I bought another package of paper. I bought 3 of these packages, parchment. It's non-parchment parchment. Was that I bought some silk straw paper as well. I haven't tried to do anything with that yet. Here is some text ready for the artwork. One of the things that's asked in the course is to include columns. This is columns. I'm trying to decide, do I like columns? And after doing several pages with columns, I decided to do a different font and by hand, and to go without columns. And I don't know whether you can see it, but this time my lines are visible. You can also see that it looks like I'm using different pens. I am using different pens. Different hands are writing this. It's all my hand, but different hands. The difference for me is here I planned pictures. Here, the only place I planned a picture is here. There's no other pictures. I forgot my planning. So paper, experiment, experiment, experiment. I'm not going to anymore say that I'm a big fan of the printer paper idea. Use it. It's cheap. If you've got to use it because that's all you can get, then I discourage you from doing any more coffee dyeing than a bare minimum just to say that you did it. Because if you do it and you find that your ink is all bleeding through, you may be disappointed. And it's also going to be true that whatever you paint on the other side may also bleed through, leading to frustration. So that's my comment on paper. I think you'll be happier with card paper or artist's paper for this project if you're doing it. And if you are, good luck.